Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Ray, and in today's video, I am actually doing a reading on Tom Petty. Now, this has been something that a lot of you have asked for me to do. If you don't know who Tom Petty was, he was a famous musician. He literally was an American singer, songwriter, musician, record producer, and actor. Just want to do justice to him. Uh, Definitely was from Florida, right? And if you don't know, he basically was in a band, and then he had solo career, I believe. He was with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So I'm going to be covering all of that. I'm going to be giving you the tea from spirit, the things that I feel his soul needs to communicate, the things that I feel like are coming up. Now, I feel like he was a very um, Pleiadian, I know that may sound kind of weird, soul, meaning that he was like a star seed, which I think that a lot of star seeds, or people today in the spiritual community don't really consider the baby boomers or people who grew up in the 60s and 70s to be, any part of the star seed family, but he was. I just feel like he was very enlightened. This is Tom Petty, by the way, if you haven't seen him. I just feel like he had a very strong intuition about things. This is why he was so opinionated in life and he didn't let like other people just, step all over him. I feel like he had an opinion about everything. He was very critical, and I also feel like on some level he was very much not necessarily driven by the money, even though he did have it. He wasn't like superficial. I feel like he was very down to earth and just his soul really just found healing in music. That's exactly what Spirit is saying. He found healing in the music, and in the music he was able to provide healing to other people as well. I do feel like he was very depressed at times. He did have darker periods and things that he said that he went through. I keep hearing spirits say that, part of his drug use and part of what he went through throughout this life was not just like a coping mechanism. It wasn't because just of, not being able to cope with the pressures of life, but literally that is the ambiance and kind of like the world that he was immersed into. And I think there was just a lot of other people in the band, the Heartbreakers, that were also doing that. I'm going to pull up a picture of the Heartbreakers because I need to say some things about that as well. I don't know why, but he wants me to talk about the rock band. Now, the rock band was active from 1976, and then let's see here, to 2017, basically. But there were several of them. And some people, some band members left, but I'm going to go back to the original ones here. Like if I'm looking at this photo here, you can see this is like the group, right? I just feel like there was just a lot of different mixtures. There was a lot of them that were under the influence of things. They all had this dark mindset back in that time frame. It was almost like in their mind they wanted to be as big as the Beatles or as huge as the Beatles. I don't know what this whole thing was, but I kind of felt like they were in that vibe. Like if they did it, we can do it too. But I just feel like all the members had different energies, and a lot of them, their hearts were not in it after a while. After, years of partying and doing drugs and things of that nature, I just kind of feel like they each went their separate ways or wanted to focus on different things. And it became, I keep hearing arguments. I keep feeling that there was a lot of discord among, the band. I feel like Tom felt at some points in the career as well, like he didn't have much of say. And it's interesting because I'm wondering the relationship that he had regarding his sexuality. Again, I'm not, someone to say that he was straight, bi, or in the closet or how he identified himself, but feel like the term gender fluid, and how society is specifically the youth today perceive, their sexuality. They don't necessarily perceive themselves as being straight or, not. There's always an attraction because I'm looking at one of the photos here of the band members. And yeah, you could say they're just like friends, but the body language does not lie. You can see Tom up on on one of the members. It looks like it just feels like there would have been some secrets kept, things that I don't know if the public knows about. I don't know if it's been discussed, but just what I feel from my heart perspective, it's like there were experiments. Like basically, I do feel like there were feelings as well, but it wasn't like true love. It wasn't like a relationship. It was just like in the moment, and being fun. I also feel like there were some other things that I can't talk about here on my channel that I will probably put on my Patreon if you haven't joined about this reading, but things that they would have done as band members. I do feel like there's like a female also that may have accused them of being, inappropriately touched or something at some point. I don't know, but she may have kept this to herself. I just feel like there were some accusations. There was some money that was like, there was a lot of arguments over money and who was getting that. I feel like, again, the Heartbreakers were great and it was like a camaraderie, but also it was very distant and very dysfunctional and a very dark, oppressive energy. Just darker energy that was coming in. I also feel like there was a paranormal thing that happened. Either Tom spoke about it or he would have had experiences that he kept to himself, but maybe his wife would have known about it. But there was some paranormal, almost like a haunting that they would have gone through. Some of the members as well. I do feel like there was a darker entity that was haunting or following the band, and it caused a lot of discord. And I feel like all of them were open gateways in the band itself, because of the scenery, because of the vibe, because of the things that they fell into. This affected Tom greatly because Tom was a very much a sensitive and an intuitive. I do feel like he did see spirits. He was able to see things, and it makes sense because I did read that he basically fell into or believed into transcendental meditation, I believe, or some type of meditation. So he was very spiritual. He did believe in spirits and there being more to the world, right? But I do feel like he, for the most part, when I look at him, it was like a struggle here on Earth. It was a struggle to be the best. A lot of pressure riding on him. I also feel pressure here on my throat, so I don't know if he ever suffered from any vocal damage or he would have had some vocal issues. But I feel like that. I also felt like a lot of bone pain. So he would have gone through things in his life. Um, I feel like there was addiction to smoke because I smell smoke all over, with him. I also feel like he just didn't give a shit at times. I'm just keeping it real. He was like, "This is the life. I'm in it," and it's almost like he didn't want to worry about things, so he just didn't, worry about certain things. He had other people in the management team to do that for him, but they literally I feel like they wanted to, people around them, around the band itself, they wanted to create problems where they basically would all, dissipate and go up, apart. Um, I do feel like though there was a lot of good memories, and this is what Tom holds on to, and he cherishes, the laughs, the good moments, the touring, the places that they went through. I also feel like him, he expressed himself a lot through art and through leather because he's talking about a leather jacket and he's talking about this bad boy image. So again, you know, he had this light towards the dark. I don't know why, but I feel like it was but even though he had that, he was still seeing through and stepping into the light. But it was an ever long how would I express this? It was always going to be a battle in this physical world with him when it came to substances and dealing with that. That's not something that you can always overcome. There are people that go into rehab and they actually get healed from this and they move on. But for him and his soul journey, it was so very difficult because it's almost like he missed that. And like when he was no longer, towards his passing, um, he was a little different, and I feel like some of the success had left him. And so it kind of became almost like I'm not as popular as I used to be. I'm no longer as relevant as I used to be, yet there are people that are still hardcore fans, and it was just a new generation is what I feel like. He was like in a new generation faced with that, a lot of pressures, but he was idolized by a lot of people as well. I do feel like when he was in relationships there was a lot of again like things not being necessarily picture perfect. I feel like he had a wandering eye. He was very attractive, of course, you know. So I feel like his both wives went through a lot, you know, with him. But I do feel like basically his heart just gave up. That's exactly what happened. It was just, you know, him doing too much. And, you know, once you get a taste of that, and if you're like a former, you know, um, person who's had issues with substances and things of that nature, it's almost like reverting back. And sometimes it's hard to let go of that. It's a lower vibration. But I do feel like, you know, he also was not happy with a lot of his decisions. He tells me, and I feel like he says like he could have actually gotten more attention or more success. And I think that there were some people in the industry that tried to hold him back from that, is what I feel. Also, there's something about a guitar. I don't know if somebody has his guitar and it's like autographed and it's set up like in a display case somewhere, but I kept seeing that. He's been showing me, he's talking about the guitar and the special meaning behind that. I also kept feeling like there's still someone that has like either sheets of music or writings of songs and things in his handwriting that still have that. And there's something about a pair of pants that may someone still may have. This may be his one of his wives, but I feel like she may have some articles of clothing or someone in the family does. Um, but he's grateful for, you know, all of the people around him. I also feel like there's something that may not make sense that may have not been publicly made known, but he makes me feel like there were some legit worries about an accident or dying early, you know, at an early age from an accident, either through the air, like an airplane, or it would have been through a vehicle. But there was definitely something there about some fears about, you know, dying young. It's almost like he would have had a premonition or would have known. Um, at some point, you know, that he would be passing because I mean, he was relatively young. You know, I mean, I still consider age 66 as young, you know, when you pass, but I just feel like he knew that he would not make it to like his 70s or 80s. There was just like this feeling like he already knew. And I think like 3 years prior to his passing, he would have already had made preparations or he would have been in a mindset which would have been a little bit more moody, perhaps a little more melancholy and a little bit again more silent than he normally was because I felt like the soul knew at some level that he was going to pass, you know, in this manner. And this is the exit that he chose. And I feel like the reason he chose to pass by overdose, right, or basically through substances in the system, which led to cardiac arrest, etc., was for the fact that he wants people to around the world to see that there are issues with addictions and the dangers of addictions and what they lead to. So every soul literally that comes to earth signs up for certain uh departures or exits from the physical world so that it can have a greater lesson. Think about it. He wasn't just Tom Petty, the unknown person. He was Tom Petty, you know, the rock star, whatever you want to call him. He was a performer. He was well known in the industry. So when someone of that level comes into the world and has a great influence over you know other people, um, and their life is lived in front of the the people in front of the cameras so openly, at the same time, you know, when they pass, that way of passing is very very eye-opening and is very much in front of the public eye. And so the fact that he passed this way tells me that this, you know, was something that happened because he wanted the people to know, he wanted all of his fans to know that it's not okay to be careful with addictions and things of that nature. So again, it may not make any sense, you know, to the listeners that are listening to this, but he is still around. I feel like he still plays music. I can feel that, and I feel like he has shown up. He like people have seen him since his passing, either in their dreams, and he would come to ordinary people too that were fans. Like you may see him in your dreams, or you know, family or friends that may have seen like someone that looked like him, or they're reminded in that moment, you know, that his soul is there when they are listening to music of his. The other day I was going out of town and we were playing, you know, some music from the 70s and 80s, and I believe one of the songs that came out, even I think even in the 90s, like one of them was Tom Petty, and I remember hearing his voice. It's amazing, amazing artist. So he is still alive in many, many ways, through people. And I think, there's just a lot of appreciation for who he is and what he did and the mark that he left here. And I keep seeing two white doves as well. So I don't know what that means, but I know that there is a symbolic meaning in that as well. So I do feel like Stevie Nicks has had some type of dream or she's felt his energy around. So it's so interesting, but that's what I get. And I want to thank all of you, my rays of light, for tuning in and for being here and listening to this reading. If you have any other suggestions on other artists or other, celebrities you want me to do a reading on, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to join my Patreon at www.patreon.com/psychic medium Ray. I love you guys. Until next time. Bye.